to the Mindful Mommy podcast. I'm your host, Haley Morris, a stay-at-home mom, wife, homesteader, certified holistic life coach, certified primal blueprint health coach, and activist.
Okay, cool. All right, so this class is called Health Basics, and basically from an overall standpoint is what we've been taught in school and kind of through the FDA and everything is wrong. So there's lots of truth that's dug into the internet and books and stuff that is starting to be revealed. And within the next 20 years, they suppose that this will be the main health advice. So that's kind of what I'm gonna show you guys today. So this is our normal diet called the SAD pyramid, which is kind of convenient because it's very sad. And the reason why this pyramid is failing us is because, first of all, oops, probably should have stayed back. Not real sure how to move this thing, but hold on just a second. Oh, there we go.
When you just push it, there should be a button that went back.
Huh?
When you push it, on the screen, there's a button.
Oh, thank you. I was like, what is going on? I don't use this board. Okay, so the SAD pyramid, why it's failing us is, first of all, the huge big thing is the grains at the bottom. Okay, we're all taught that we need to eat more grains. Even when we go to the doctor's office, they say, you know, you might be like, I'm having this health problem, or I just can't lose weight, or, you know, my numbers are all off the charts, or whatever. And they usually say, well, why don't you just eat more grain or exercise harder? And that's not the case at all. We actually do not need any grains in our diet. They're completely unnutritious to us at all. One of the biggest things with greens or grains and legumes is that they have anti-nutrient properties, which means that when you digest them, they actually start to release this inactive enzyme, which then starts to eat the nutrients from your body. So it's causing inflammation in your body, it's causing free radicals, which are cancer-causing agents. And I think what happened is when we first started to civilize ourselves, when we decided that we weren't, you know, roaming around place to place, and we just wanted to start like actual societies, we had to start farming. And what happened is we started off with grains because that was just a huge turnover at first. And when you look back into history and you look at when we started to eat grains, we started having tooth decay, we started losing a lot of weight, there was lots of deaths. And we just never moved from getting away from this. You know, we've just started adding the medicine to cover up symptoms and get us a little further than where we were. So there's a lot of history in this, and you can Google all of it and get to, you know, why grains are terrible for your body. But I just want to get that out there. You should avoid all grains if possible.
Well, that's all I eat.
Yeah, so another thing that's dangerous about that food pyramid is that they don't classify what oils are okay for our diet. And I'm sure you guys have kind of heard that, you know, there's good oils and there's bad oils, or good fats or bad fats is another way to put it. But, you know, what are those? And it's, you know, there's so much information around in this world that you kind of get lost in what's good and what's not. And so this guy is really good at explaining what good fats are and what bad fats are. So I wanted to play this in a short clip. Oh, maybe. Let's see. There we go.
Hello, this is Dr. Barton. Well, I have time to announce to you that are causing some
Can you guys hear that at all?
primarily to your heart. Another health tip. Hello, this
Let's
is
see
Dr.
if we can. I'm sorry. I wish I knew how to work this thing, but can you guys hear it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's try this again.
Hello, this is Dr. Barton. Pro-Active Wellness and Injury Center with another health tip. Today what I want to talk to you about are some dangerous oils. These oils that you may be ingesting unbeknownst to you that are causing some very, very severe damage to your body, primarily to your heart and in particular to the brain. The oils that are dangerous now on this hit list, if you will, are soybean oil. Soybean happens to be the most genetically modified food. That means it's not a real food anymore. It's been so chemically altered and changed. It's a Frankenstein food, if you will. The sunflower oil, the canola oil, and as a little sidebar with the canola, instead of cooking with it, go ahead and pour it on your plants because you're going to find out it's a very, very potent pesticide. And the safflower oil, the corn oil, another highly genetically modified food now, and of course the peanut oil. All of these foods now that many of you may be getting in through your cooking, through your baking, and even through salad dressing. And there was some research that was done recently that stated that the reduction of these types of oils from your diet with the introduction, we'll talk here about pure olive oil and coconut oil, with the introduction of these oils actually reduced the risk of you developing Alzheimer's or senile dementia by 60%.
So what he's talking about are those core oils that we have in a lot of our food, the sunflower, the canola, there's safflower, the corn oil, I mean, all of that stuff. They're highly genetically modified. I should slow down a little bit. And because of that, they're missing all of their nutrients. And not only that, they're not heat stable anymore. So they're actually causing diseases in your body because they're releasing those free radicals in your body. And what free radicals are is, when it comes down to it, is they are these basically troopers in your body that are coming out when it sees an invader in your body and saying, oh, this is a bad guy. Well, because of these free radicals are causing cancer, causing disease, and all because of inflammation and the poison that's being built up in your body from these things that don't have any nutrients. They're not made to be put in our body at that highly processed level. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so then this would be the happy food pyramid, and I want to start with the oils because that's kind of what we were talking about. The oils in this are going to be things like avocado oil, they're going to be coconut oil, they're going to be extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil, what you want to do with that particular oil is not heat stable over a certain temperature. So that would be your basis for your salad dressings, or avocado oil is also a good base for salad dressings. And you can actually find products in the grocery store now that have those instead of the soybean, instead of the canola, instead of all those unhealthy oils. And
So regular salad dressing, you don't buy, you just buy the oils?
No, okay, so there is regular salad dressing that already has it pre-mixed for you, right? But there's certain kinds that have like the canola and the soybean and stuff like that you do not want to eat because it causes bad things to happen to your body. But if you get the ones with the base with like coconut oil or avocado oil or olive oil, then that's going to be okay for your body. Your body's going to be able to digest that. It's not going to cause any kind of inflammation in your body. It's actually going to help reduce the inflammation in your body. What's cool about coconut oil in particular is that not only is it high stable, so you can cook it, you can fry your foods in it and all that stuff, and it doesn't taste like coconut oil because people like my mom, she's like, I don't want to eat that. It's going to taste like coconut. No, it doesn't, not at all. So what happens with that particular one is it actually reduces the risk of Alzheimer's. And they have studies where if you take a raw tablespoon of coconut oil, it actually can reverse dementia. So these are like beneficial oils it's the process that we've taken food and we've totally processed it to the point where it's completely man-made and now it's dead. It's dead. So if you can think of it this way, if you're eating dead food, then you're gonna feel dead. You're gonna start aging quicker and eventually you're gonna end up with some sort of disease or whatever it may be that's gonna make you dead. But if you do the opposite direction, then you're improving your life. You're decreasing disease, you're decreasing the free radicals, you're decreasing your cancer risk. I mean, you're reducing your oxidation in your body so you're not gonna look older quicker. I mean, there's so many health benefits if you just eat the right food. So the truth is that what you eat matters. Not only does it matter on the impact that it's making on your own life, but it matters about the environment as well. And so we'll kind of dive into that in a little bit. So this is the happy pyramid. This is what's gonna make your body happy. Okay, so obviously the biggest thing is vegetables, and there's so many vegetables out here, and I think that especially just in Kokomo, because we're kind of a small town compared to Indy, and we don't have very healthy-minded people when it comes down to it here in this town at all. We have a limited variety of vegetables in this town. So when you go to the grocery store and you see like the main vegetables, there's so much more outside of that. And the way that you find those vegetables is you have to know your local farmers, because there are some local guys around here that actually do way more vegetables than you have at your grocery store. So we'll get into that as well. The next one is the meat, fish, fowl, and eggs. So there's a ton of variety, but this is where it gets kind of tricky, because we see the terms organic and we see the terms free range and pasture raised and grass fed. And first of all, if you're just a normal person that doesn't look into health, you're like, what do I do now? You don't know really what the best option is, or you tend to just not care because it's just too much work. So I'll get into that as well. So then you got the meat on top of that, and you want to keep your protein levels, you want to keep it at 5.5 grams per body weight. We've actually learned recently that we're eating too much protein for what we need. So what happens when you eat too much protein for what you need is it actually turns into glucose, which is sugar, rises your insulin, which can cause inflammation in the body and cause disease and stuff like that. And it actually stores as in fat. So protein can be bad if you're eating too much of it, which is pretty crazy when it gets down to it. So you want to keep your protein at a moderate level. Your vegetables should take up most of your plate. Now this is replacing grains, right? So, and what's cool about vegetables is that most of them are low carbs. So breads are super high carbs, and you eat a lot of them because they have no nutrients, so you're not even getting full. And the vegetables do the complete opposite. They are low carbs, and you can eat tons of them. You're not gonna get fat. I mean, and they boost your health benefits, and it's just awesome. So then the meat, and then we got our healthy fats, which we just talked about. Now this also includes grass-fed butter, pasture-raised butter. You want butter that not is completely drained with color, but you don't want additives. So you just want pure raw butter. If you can find raw butter, that's the best stuff ever. But if not, pasture-raised. They have Kerrygold brand at Kroger, which is grass-fed. It's not local, but it's grass-fed. I eat that, and then there's another kind there at Kroger that's pasture-raised. It's in kind of like by the kombucha and stuff like that. And then, you know, like the avocado oil, the coconut oil. This is all of your nuts and seeds, olives, all your healthy fats. Okay, you want nuts and seeds in your life. Oh my gosh, nuts and seeds in your life are just incredible. You guys got to Google it. There's so many health benefits with nuts and seeds. Oh, that's the only thing. It's up here a little bit. So you want to be like kind of moderate with it, you know, everything in moderation, including moderation. So, you know, you want to be moderate with it, but you definitely want to, like, if you want a snack, grab a handful of nuts and seeds that don't contain the bad oils. You know, you want to look for raw nuts and seeds. And so grab one, and, you know, grab a piece of fruit, which is, you know, up on the second to last. Okay. So with the fruit, so you want to do moderation with fruit. Okay, I've done raw food in my diet. Like I spent 3 years in vegan, vegetarian, and raw food. I was in the three for 3 years, and what I learned is not only what I learned myself is I started to develop some sort of dementia. I was starting to stumble my words all the time. I couldn't remember what I was about to say. So I was already getting that, and that's because my blood sugars are always doing this. And, you know, that's what causes diabetes, is too much blood sugar and insulin levels. And so I've done the raw food, and you're running off of carbs, you're running off of insulin, you're running off blood sugar, and you don't want to do that. So it's very important that you do have moderate fruits, but you eat fruits sometimes. If you have a sweet tooth, don't overdo the fruits, but have a fruit, you know, instead of eating the cake. And And let's not get wrong, you can eat cake. It's the way you prepare the cake and then how much of it do you eat. So I'll get into that a little bit. So the moderate foods, you want fruits, definitely berries. Berries is your preferred option, especially if they're dark colored berries. These are high in antioxidants, so they kill the free radicals. Any kind of cancer causing agent, you want to eat berries to reduce inflammation, get rid of the free radicals, get rid of the disease. They're really huge in antioxidants. And they help you decrease your aging quicker, so they make you look younger. And same with coconut oil. So this is also where your dairy comes in. We don't necessarily need dairy. We needed dairy when we were young, okay, to get us growing quick. So if you're eating low-fat dairy, if you're just drinking milk, if you're doing any of that stuff, you're gonna put on weight because it's sugar. When it comes down to it, that's what it is. It's sugar and fat. That's how, when we're little, we grow up really quick because we're getting tons of high fat and a little bit of sugar. So we don't want to eat that as adults. What we do want to eat is moderate versions of dairy. We want high fat dairy, okay? So if you're gonna have coffee in the morning and you really like creamer, you want to do a heavy creamer, the highest fat that you can possibly get. If you're gonna do cheese, which I love cheese, I would never be able to get rid of it. Even when I was vegan, I disliked not having cheese. So when you want cheese, get the really aged cheese. Look for that pasture raised, that grass fed, that raw cheese. You want stuff that has the highest fat, that minimally processed. And then obviously, so when you get to, I'll explain the sweet potatoes and squash and quinoa and stuff like that because that is technically a vegetable at the same time. And the reason why it's up here is because it is a starchy carb, okay? So starchy carbs are good if you're very active, and they're good if you're just really hungry and you just need that extra filling like a bread technically would do, right? So that's where the sweet potatoes, the squash, the quinoa and wild rice, okay? I can't do well with quinoa, so please, like, when we go over all this stuff, make sure you follow your body, and I'll kind of get into that here later. But these are the things that you don't want to eat all the time, but they're definitely good for you. White potatoes you should get rid of, just switch to sweet potatoes. They have no nutrition when it comes down to it. Okay, so the top is your herbs and spices, and if you can see, there's no desserts up top. Do you see that? But our old pyramid has desserts. I mean, when you really look at this, if you just look at it, doesn't this look like health compared to the other one? Because it doesn't even have sweets. Your sweets on here are your fruits that are at moderate. They're not even at the very top, so you can be a little more liberated about it. And then you got supplements, herbs and spices, which should be supplementing your diet, not be your diet, okay? So if you're gonna have a meal shake, okay, it shouldn't be a meal shake. It should be, I need some extra protein because you know what? I'm trying to gain some extra guns right here. That's what those supplements should be. I'm having like horrible gut problems. You know, my poop doesn't look good. I have acne all over my face. Something's going on. I need a supplement. I need some probiotics or kefir or whatever. So your desserts. So let's just say, well, I just really need a dessert, and I'm like this, so I'll be true. I love sweets when it comes down to it. And I will tell you that that's a metabolism thing, which I'm about to be switching up on Monday. But after my last Thanksgiving, that's why. But here's the thing with that. If you really need a dessert, here's what you want to do. You want to get 85% to 90% dark chocolate, okay? Your taste buds will start to change. If you do this, it will change. So after like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're not even gonna care that you're not getting desserts, except for, you know, Thanksgiving comes around and then you spoil yourself. And then you jump back on the wagon and you won't have any like issues because you've been doing it long term. 80% of the time you need to be doing it right. The other 20%, who cares? Okay, so the dark chocolate, and then another thing I like to do, and it's really awesome, look up raw foods, okay? Like I said, raw foods, you don't want to be a raw foodist because that's the complete opposite direction. Then you're all on carbs and sugar. But what you want to do is you want to take the dessert versions of raw foods and implement them when you need sweets, okay? So, because that will line up with this perfectly. So for instance, I'll give an example. I really want a cheesecake. Well, raw food cheesecake is dates, and dates is have you guys had dates before? Kind of looks like a prune. Okay, so dates and a nut, and then you blend it in the food processor with, you can add a little bit of salt and a little bit of vanilla if you want, and then you press it into a pan, and then you take cashews that have been soaked for a couple hours or overnight, and you drain them, and then you put it in a food processor and you blend that up until it's smooth. Add some dates,
Just soak them in water?
Yep, add some dates, and then add like a berry or some spices or your pumpkin to make pumpkin pie, and then pour that on top, and then you can either bake it for a little bit to make it a little bit warm, or put it in the fridge and let it set. And that's a cake, and it tastes really good, and it'll fix that sweet tooth in an instant. So there's ways around this. Okay, so obviously we've kind of went through the types of food you should be looking for, and I just want to go over this just in case. Okay, so your grains and carbs, we've kind of talked about how those are bad. So what is your ideal body burner? So if you hear a lot of the mainstream stuff, what you'll hear is that we need carbs to burn for our exercise, or we need carbs after our exercise to reload. Well, what you're reloading is your glucose levels, which are spiking your insulin. Well, the thing is, once our glucose levels get up to 100, which is real quick, then you don't need any more. And so we're actually, like, say you eat some bread, you're gonna be at probably around 500. You only need 100. So all that goes to fat, okay? So what is our ideal body burner? It's fats. That's what we want to burn. Not only does our natural body that hasn't been pulled from where we're supposed to be into the civilization that we made into our new diet, okay, we're supposed to be burning fat. We're supposed to be burning our stored fat. So you want to eat good fats to burn your fat, okay? So your bulk of your meals should be your vegetables and fats, then protein, then your fruits and other moderated stuff, okay? So your ideal body burner is fat. Then we went over the good fats and the bad fats. So now I want to get into your terms. So here's why it's very, very important to know your farmer. We hear the local buzzword around here, and the reason I call it local buzzword is because one time I did an interview at the Carmel Farmers Market, and I kept going around to ask people, why do you love farmers market? I just wanted to know. And I never got an original answer except for one person. Everybody else just said the buzzwords. It's local, everyone's here, it's fun. Nothing was original at all. So to me, that means we're doing a really good job of programming. But what it doesn't tell me is why are you actually shopping local? Well, I'll tell you why you should be shopping local. So, have anybody heard of the term CAFO? Okay, this is confined animal feeding operations, and I have a picture after this slide. And what this is the conventional meats that we get, okay? I want to start off with, they're not in good environments at all. They're not in their normal, what should be their normal environments. Now, why is this bad for us? Well, for one, they're feeding them GMO corn, okay? And when you think about what these cows are eating, they should be just eating grass. That's their natural diet. Well, we're feeding them corn, which is a grain, and they don't eat grains, just like we're not supposed to be eating grains. So what happens is they're feeding that, they're not in their natural environment, which also means they're not getting sufficient vitamin D, they're not getting any good, they're not getting clean air. So all of this is building up toxins in their body. And then when you eat it, you're actually getting more omega-6s over omega-3s. Omega-6s is bad for your body. It's a bad fat ratio. That's like eating the bad oils all the time, okay? So when you eat this meat, you're actually getting more omega-6s, which is making us more fat, okay, and more unhealthy. So what you want is meats that are high in vitamin omega-3s. So the next term I want to mention is free range, because the sad thing about this, and it really is sad because it makes me kind of mad, is that they're using this term free range so that way, people's like, they're better off, they're more nutritious, so the animals are fine, but they're not. They're not free range at all. Here's what happens. They put up a huge building that they used to be contained in, but now they're contained in most of the time, but now they have this little section outside where then they can roam. That's free range. Hey, so what happens with the free range is and this is weather permitted, by the way. So if it's really nasty outside, they don't get the choice. Then they'll let them out if it's nice out. Do you see what I'm saying? So then they're doing the same exact things. So organic, now, I want to word this good, because organic, I like organic because it's less chemicals, it's less pesticides. Overall, it's better than a conventional diet, right? Do we all agree with this? Have we heard the conventional versus organic? Okay, so I totally agree. If you're gonna start from square one, if you're leaving fast food, if you're trying to get off grains, if you're trying to start from the base, you want to move into organic, okay? This is your best option, especially if you don't really know what's going on. So we're gonna go organic. So organic's less pesticides, less chemicals. The cows, for instance, now their environment may have not changed very much, but they're at least getting organic grain. And so when when you're eating this stuff, remember this is going from their body to your body. Everything however their health is where your health is going at this point, okay? So the last two, grass-fed and pasture-raised, these are my favorite. I like these over all of them. Grass-fed is going to be the cow that's in this natural environment. Now, so they're eating just grass. And now, if you go to Kroger, for the most part, you're gonna get grass-fed. That isn't really around here. So going back to knowing your farmer, if you can find a farmer that's doing grass-fed, that's the best. Because not only are you getting grass-fed, but you're also getting it local, which means it has all of its enzymes, which is energy, all of its energy going. So when you eat that, you actually feel better. You're not getting dead-oriented food and then eating that. So, and then pasture-raised is pretty much the same concept, but you have to be aware of the farmer when it comes down to that, because pasture-raised can be all grass-fed, or it can be pasture-raised where they're eating grass, but they're also eating hay, and then did that hay get sprayed with chemicals and pesticides? We don't really know. So that's where it's important to kind of know your farmer when it comes to that. But if you're going to the grocery store, you want to pick grass-fed and pasture-raised over everything when it comes to meat. Organic is your next best option, and conventional is last if you have to. But if you have to eat conventional, like if we go back to our food pyramid that we just looked like, if you have to eat conventional meat, start there and fix your food pyramid, and don't worry about what one you're picking at the time. Okay, so the next one I want to go over is the non-GMO and chemical-free produce. So when it comes to GMOs, anybody know what that is? We kind of know what that is? Okay. So GMOs would be genetically modified organisms, where basically they're taking the genes out of other plants or animals and putting them into other plants and animals to make them better equipped to deal with certain bugs or pesticides or whatever it may be at the time. So when it comes down to GMOs, the problem with it is they don't really know what's happening. They have a little bit of research, but really it's an experiment, and they don't really know what's happening. So you have to be careful. It's just a good idea to research GMOs and go for your own, because I know that some people really want to do GMOs because they think it's progressive and it's good, and it's really awesome that this apple doesn't break down really quickly because then I can eat it later. To me, that's a bad thing. So look that up for yourself. I'm not going to dig super deep into that. Chemical-free produce, that goes back to organic. Pick chemical-free produce if you can. There's a dirty dozen. Like apples, you should definitely go organic because they add a bunch of pesticides and chemicals, and then they add antibiotics and stuff to that. So and antibiotics, when it comes to antibiotics, we want to keep those low as much as possible because you adapt over time. So you just want to stay away from chemical-free as much as possible and look up the Dirty Dozen and make sure you're not eating those conventionally. Fruit consumption, we went over. You want to keep that moderate. And then I want to talk about water. So when it comes to water, you need to drink a lot of it because it detoxes your body. And I like to go more on intuitive approach to drinking water. When I'm thirsty, I drink it, but if you're exercising a lot, you should definitely drink it. But avoiding toxicity with water, and this is kind of hard because when it comes to genetically modified farming, there's a lot of runoff and stuff now because we're just not doing it like we should be anymore. So when it comes to water and city water and stuff like that, you want to look into like fluoride and things. Make sure you're getting filters, drink bottled water when you can that's been from a spring. So not only are you avoiding the fluoride and the toxicity, but you're also getting the good nutrients and the minerals and stuff that we're missing out of a lot of our water today. And if you go to Sunspot, they have reverse osmosis, so it takes a lot of the chemicals and stuff out of there. And then well water's good. If you can find a natural spring around here, they're really hard to find, but that would be your best water because it has all the minerals and nutrients and stuff in there. Okay, so these are like what I like to call radical new health ideas. And we kind of went over why knowing your farmer is important, but this is your immediate implementation. So forget the fad diets, okay? It's hard to pick out what's a fad diet and what's not a fad diet, but really ultimately comes down to how are you feeling? How are you looking in the mirror? Are you happy with how you look? Are you happy with how you feel? That's what it really comes down to, right? So you want to feel good. You want to have energy. You don't want to wake up, and if you wake up and you feel like you have a hangover and you didn't drink, you have a carb crash, okay? That's what it comes down to. And so you want to wake up feeling like, let's go. Even if you need a little bit of coffee, that's fine. But you don't want to wake up feeling like crap, right? So forget the fad diets, forget the word dieting. Like, let's make it a lifestyle. Dieting has the word die in it. Is it fun to suffer when you're trying to do like a diet? No, it's not. It really sucks. And you want to quit after a month or, take a break for a while. So forget that word and just make it a lifestyle. Ease into it. Like, look at that food pyramid that I showed you and ease into it. Like, if you eat bread every single day of the week, eat it 3 times a week and cut out 3 times a week and then come back and cut out more. Take your time and really switch over to a whole new lifestyle, a whole new you. Stop using the word cheat meal. For one, the word cheat makes us feel guilty, right? We don't want to feel guilty about messing up our diets. We want to feel like, okay, I ate this, I'm going to deal with the consequences of it, and I'm going to move on, and I'm just going to do better the next day. So forget the word cheat meal. Just do better every single day, and you'll get to your goal. Take a more intuitive approach after you detox. So the way to sum this up is after you detox, after you finally switch your lifestyle and you're getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, once you've gotten to the place of a completely clean diet, then you can take an intuitive approach. So what I like to say with that is, are you craving more meat that day? Well, maybe you need more protein, so you should kind of go in that direction. Now, the reason I say take an intuitive approach after you detox is because if you're craving sweets, you're probably not detoxed. You don't need sweets in your life. So you probably aren't detoxed enough to know intuitively what you actually need. So after you detox, then take a more intuitive approach. Forget modern day exercise. And my mom loves this one because she doesn't like it. The reason why is because we've been taught that we should exercise hard all the time. And when it really comes down to it is your diet actually matters more than how much you exercise. So if your diet is spot on 80% of the time, 90% of the time, you're not gonna have a ton of excess weight. Your excess weight is probably gonna be, if you have any excess weight, it's probably gonna be healthy weight. And on top of that, If you want to exercise hard at that point, fine. It's because you want to build muscles, because you want to tone up, you know? But you shouldn't like have to exercise hard to lose weight. It should be about your diet. That's what it comes down to. But then said, there's no shortcuts, okay? There's only an in or out. And the way I explain this is there's no shortcuts to being healthy, okay? You have to put in the effort to eat healthy every single day. You're gonna be, well, in this town, you're gonna be around crappy restaurants all the time, right? And what you want is you don't want to be around crappy restaurants, but that's the fact. So the thing is, it's going to be hard to not only not go out to eat in Kokomo, except for maybe Chipotle and pick a good choice, you know, not get the beans and not get the rice, but get a salad, or travel to Indy and go to some farm to forks that are actually doing something, you know. But it's in or out, you know. If you mess up most of the time, you're not going to get there. But so you have to choose. You have to choose the lifestyle. Are you going to be able to live a lifestyle where it's mostly healthy, or is that going to be a struggle? And I think that I'll get to that part. I'll leave that one for a minute. So be a part of your food system. Know your farmer when it comes down to it. So I kind of wanted to show some eggs here. And as you can see, they're all different, right? We all have a different color. So this is your grain-fed egg. No nutrients, really. Light yolk. The funny thing is, my husband just walked in. He told me that he went to this restaurant in Lafayette. It's called 501 Bistro. It's really good. And he brought them eggs because he works for a farmer. And he brought them eggs that are raised on pasture, and they buy eggs that are raised on grain. So they opened up both these eggs and they cooked them, and there was an obvious, this is grain-fed, this is the forager, the pasture raised. And so there's obvious color difference, but also they ate these. They had the owner eat them, and the grain-fed tasted like nothing. It tasted like water because it doesn't have any flavor. What are they eating? They're eating one food and drinking water. They're not foraging like they're supposed to and eating all the different things to make their eggs like taste good. So, and this is the grain and grass, which is better than just the grain-fed. They're getting somewhat of their natural diet, but they're also eating some grain, probably for some filler. This is gonna be your free range more so, okay? So I wanted to show that because that's interesting. So this is your CAFO. Okay, so I told you I had a picture. Here's your CAFO farm. So they're eating grain. They don't have any room to run around, to get oxygen in their body, to get their vitamin D from outside. And I know this looks awful because it is when it comes down to it, but the point I wanted to get across from this is what you're eating from, that they're not living a healthy lifestyle, and that transfers to your own lifestyle. The better picture, this is their natural habitat. This is what they're naturally supposed to be eating. They're getting the vitamin D, they're getting all the nutrients that they need to thrive and survive, and then ultimately you're eating that. So then you get the good omega-3s over the omega-6 ratio. I'll let you take a picture. So I want questions if you guys have any questions, but that's the overall kind of, I think I made all of the points I was trying to get across to everyone. I do health coaching, so I have a card over there if anybody wants it. And I have a podcast, if anybody's into podcasts, called The Mindful Mommy, and it's fun. I do it for fun mostly. So yeah, any questions? Anything? I know there's swirls, I'm sure. Yes?
You talked about beans and not eating beans.
Yes.
I thought beans were healthy.
Some people say beans are healthy, and bean is a legume, so it's not necessarily healthy for you when it comes down to it, because it has the same thing the grain has. It has that anti-nutrient enzyme that starts to mess up your gut. So what it does is it starts causing inflammation in your gut and cause leaky gut, which then also releases other toxins and stuff into your bloodstream.
So black beans are
No. The only way that beans are okay, if you really have to have your beans, is if you're gonna soak them for a couple hours, and that'll help release that and you can digest them better. But I recommend against it if you can. But if you're switching over to just a better diet, please soak them and eat them, and that'll fill in your bread. See what I'm saying?
Another question
Yes.
about nuts.
Yes.
Nuts are But I understand that peanuts are a legume.
Yes, peanuts are a legume. So it's just with the bean category. Now when it comes to more of the fat burner type of thing, you can have peanuts here and there if you don't have gut problems. So it's like having a peanut allergy, because that's basically what it does in your body. It starts the inflammation. So yeah, if you don't have a problem with them, sparingly, but I try to avoid it. Don't eat peanut oil though. So eat it in its butter form and make sure you read. The thing is, guys, you got to read all of your ingredients, because it's nuts. Like, you'll realize when you start to read stuff, you're like, why is that even in there? Why? This is a whole grain cracker. Why does it have this in it, you know? Yes?
How do you meet your local farmers?
Meet your local farmers. Okay, well, you could call me. I could tell you, but you can research on Google. Just type in local organic farm or local farm, and then Kokomo or something.
Go out and buy like half a cow.
Right, and you don't have to anymore. For instance, there is a guy that lives by the Howard County Airport. Do you know where that is? Okay, he does beef, and you don't have to buy it by a half cow. You can. It would be cheaper in the long run, but if you don't have that money up front, then you can buy just hamburger. And it's actually cheaper than at Kroger to get, it's grass fed. So, and then there's a produce guy, and he is in Rushville, and he does a local CSA, and so that has all your produce and stuff. But then again, there's farmers market. You know, I think it's Brew Bakers. Yeah, the Brew Bakers do really. Is that their name, Zach? Brew Bakers? Yeah, Brew Bakers do really good produce.
Well, there was no vegetables there at all. It was all beef goods.
Yeah. Well, but if you grab my number, I'll just hand you a card. Call me, and I can send you a list, because I don't have it right now.
I have a card from a local farmer that I used to get eggs, well, I still do get eggs from him at the Green County Market. And,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I have a friend that does chickens too, and she was giving her eggs. But I would also, I said her eggs were laying very well, so I got his card. He said I could call him and get eggs from him.
Nice, good. And I talked to a doctor on my podcast, and he says the best eggs are grown by your local old lady down the street. That's what he says. But he's funny. So it's actually in Tennessee. So.
Now, I did notice that it seemed like he had some beef in his cooler. To me, it seems like it was pretty darn expensive.
Well, the thing is with producing local food, and it's at a very small scale, you know, because not always, but most of the time it's at a very small scale. It's really intensive. It's intensive work, you know. You're not doing it with a full-blown tractor and stuff. You have hands-on people, and the reason they're doing that is so they don't have to spray chemicals and pesticides on it. Because if they do it all in monocrops, then they have to spray chemicals and pesticides. They have too much of the same crop next to each other. It's going to be infested, you know. That's why they're trying to come up with all these improvements to make it better and make it cheap. But really, the alternative method, that's what I wanted to tell you guys. In the end, you guys are worth being healthy. You're worth being healthy. You have to invest in yourself to be healthy. And it's just like investing in that brand new car that you want, you know. If you want to be healthy, it's money. It comes down to money. It's where do you put your money to make what's important to you important, you know? And that's what it comes down to. So, any other questions?
That's why we got them on the pump, you know,
Yeah.
like the feeding tube pump, but it's real food,
Yeah, it's awesome.
you know, instead of just Pediasure.
Yeah, that is awesome, because I've looked at a lot of those recipes on the back of that stuff, and it's awful. It's really awful.
No, it's all like fruits, vegetables. It's only fruit and water in their food.
Good.
There's no other stuff into it.
Good.
Like hers right now was chicken. I think it was. It's done now.
Sleep.
I think it was chicken rice and like a fruit.
Good. Good. That's good. Yeah.
And then
Way better than Pedia for
there's
sure.
someone that made it in Indiana. They came with the whole thing. Like
Oh,
in
nice.
Indianapolis.
Cafe Baby? Is it something like that?
It's called Real Food Blends.
Okay. Okay. I haven't heard of them, but
They said that they wanted real food for their kids.
Yeah.
You know, instead of their baby wasn't producing or taking formula good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. It's good.
So at a year old, they were doing it all themselves, and like, there's got to be an easier way of doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, definitely. And feel free to call or email anytime.
Get a consultation sometime.
Okay, yeah.
Nutrition.
Okay.
But I had a question too about.
Yes.
I don't know if you're on Facebook or if you see.
I am.
Like all these people. There's these like quick fixes. There's one right
Yes.
now called Singular, and it's like the red box or something. And these people are dropping weight like
Yeah.
30 pounds in like a month and a half.
Yeah.
I have a friend that's done that, and I'm here working out. I've been doing it since February.
Yeah.
And trying to eat right, and I've lost some weight, but it's taking like time.
Yeah.
Because of my age too. But it's so frustrating because I see them and I think, oh, I could do that for a month and be at my ideal weight.
Yeah.
And then, but you think those things probably aren't the best.
No, what happens is you struggle for that month or whatever,
Yeah.
or take the supplements or whatever. But after that, first of all, you don't have any guidelines. You don't have any real guidelines.
Yeah.
And so you usually fall off the wagon when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
you know, because like the meal supplements and stuff are great, but over time, like you're going to get sick of it,
Yeah.
you know, and when it comes down to it, you want to eat real food because you're not curbing your hunger or anything when it comes down to it.
Not burning anything.
But I have a program we're actually about to be doing it starting Monday, and it's Keto Reset. And I know that's like the popular term right now, but this is it's by Mark Sisson, which he's been in health since he was 13. And he actually gives the advice on how to actually do it in a natural way, following that pyramid where you don't fall off of it ever. You actually grow into that pyramid that I showed you. So we can go over that. I'm actually about to be doing it. And the reason I'm about to be doing it is because I still eat some of the carbs, more carbs than I should.
Yeah.
I don't eat bread. We don't eat breads very
I don't eat
often.
breads and baked potatoes, like just
Right.
cut that out a long time ago, but
Right.
I'm still not losing the weight.
Exactly.
I'm trying to, like you said, exercise, but
Right.
when you said it's more about nutrition,
Mhm.
I'm not eating bad, I'm just not losing weight,
sure,
but then
yeah.
I'm working out and I'm gaining muscle, so it's very frustrating when I weigh myself, even though
Yeah.
I can tell. So it's this whole thing.
Right, and it might just be a few things that you're not catching that you're eating,
Yeah.
and there's that we can go over, because ultimately you just want to be eating real whole food when it comes down to it. So yeah, we can chat, and you can I can either set a time now or
Probably wait. 'cause
Okay,
I know it
and
might
just
take me a
call me
while,
or
like,
whatever.
I don't even know about, but I want to do it. So.
Right.
Because even when I started with personal training here, I went to get a nutritionist
yes,
to talk to, and you're the first person I've seen that
is an actual
offers that side of
nutritionist.
it. Also, there's another one. I don't know the name of it though, but there's a lady here that does it that I know that just works out here, and
Mhm.
it's all about fighting off the free radicals.
Yes.
That's her thing that she does.
Nice.
And
Good.
She's losing weight on that.
Good.
That seemed a little better than the other ones.
Yeah.
But that one's probably legit. I
Yes.
guess.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I don't know all of it,
Yeah.
but I definitely know
'Cause
that's
they have like
whatever.
detox drinks and
Right.
stuff.
And that's the thing, like here's what I want to get across to people is the products aren't going to fix the problem. It's
Yeah.
the overall lifestyle change. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I teach, and a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not want. They want a product,
Yeah.
and they
'Cause I
want to
don't
just
want a
do
quick
just do
fix,
this.
Because I know the quick fix is not going to work. But
The
it's
quick fix-
frustrating when you're
Right. And it
going
might
through it.
work short term,
Yeah.
but like, what's that going to look like in 10 years?
Yeah. And
You
the
know?
first girl I told you about, she said her person that sells this stuff told her not to be on it long term.
Yeah.
Because it could mess up her inside.
Thanks for listening to the Mindful Mommy podcast. Please subscribe and tell your friends.